I just got back from having spent about an hour, not even an hour, with this lens outside. I bought this about a year ago. This is the XR Rikenon 55mm f2.2. This is for a Pentax mount, and I have this right now mounted to adapted to my S5. When I bought this about a year ago, the first photos I took with it, the first test runs I had with it, well, first hour that I had with it, I only spent about an hour with it, then I stopped using it, was adapted to the GH5. I found it at a market. I spent around maybe £5, not even £5. It was less than 100 Rand for sure, so it was less than £5. And it was a little bit dirty. I knew that I'd be able to just clean it up, and I thought, how much could I possibly hate it? And it turns out I could hate it quite a bit. The thing was that whenever I got close to being in focus with something, as soon as that thing was supposed to be in focus, it would just start to glow. And I originally thought that maybe something's wrong with this. Maybe if I open it up and turn one of the glass components around, it would fix the problem. But I realized as well that once I reached from about f5.6 onwards, it was pretty sharp. Things were in focus and there were no glowing problems as far as I could tell. So this is just a feature of this lens, and I really didn't like it at first. So I put it away, and I realized, or I decided that I would eventually make a video about how much I don't like it. And then for that reason, I thought I'd go out, take photos so that I could develop some well-informed opinions on this lens, this time adapted to the S5. And with the session out, I actually realized that there is quite a niche, I don't know, like a niche use for it. It's dreamy, it's glowy, and especially in video, certain types of things, the dreaminess of it, especially when you're like zooming in and out of stuff, when there's movement, is actually it can be quite pleasant, and there's certainly a place for it. In photos, when you've got that distinction between some of the sharp components and the more glowy components, the distinction between the two doesn't have enough of a gradient for me to enjoy those photos. But in videos, that is something quite different. So I'm going to give this lens a little bit of an extra chance. I'm going to take it out, and over the next few days I'm going to get some photo and video so that I can develop some more well-informed opinions on this lens and see if we can find some suitable situations where the lens would work quite nicely for our artwork. So the next time you see me, I'll be wearing something different because it'll be a different day. I'll be less sweaty, I hope, because hopefully I will have had a rest before coming straight to the camera to talk to you about this. But we will have developed some better or more well-rounded, well-informed, informative opinions on this lens. So the photos and videos that you will have seen up until now would have been the photos and videos that I took today, with a few little images from the very first day that I took this lens out and put it on my GH5. But the rest that you'll see will be with this lens on the GH5, not the GH5, on the S5, because this is the camera that I shoot with predominantly these days. Right, so as with most of the lenses that I review, preview, or demo here on the channel, I try to use the lens when I'm busy talking to you. I forgot to turn my light on, 1 second. Right, so I'm shooting with, right now, the Ricoh XR Rikenon 55mm f2.2, wide open at 2.2, and I'm about just under 2 meters away from you right now. And I wrote some notes about the lens that I've been shooting with for the past 2 days. Okay, so as for the glow is an issue when you try to focus on something at the minimal focus distance. I've noticed that when you're trying to focus at minimal focus distance, that's when the glowiness comes, and then you find that it's actually the outer parts that are more in focus. That's obviously me doing something wrong, but this is apparently called spherical aberration, and it's when the shape of the lens or the glass doesn't allow for the light to converge. I'm not sure if converge is the correct word, but the light doesn't meet at the proper same point, which makes it difficult for you to focus. And that's a thing for this lens, or at least my one, at the minimal focus distance. From about 1.5 meters away, from there onwards, that's when the focusing becomes less of a task, less problematic. What else did I write here? When the photos come out the way that I hope, they do come out good, but it's a lot of hit and miss, and it's more misses for me, more misses than hits. I am struggling to properly predict what's happening, and by predict I mean I just need more practice. It's not like the lens is actually unpredictable. It is what it is. It has its physical qualities, and it behaves the way it's going to behave under certain lighting conditions, under certain focusing distance, under certain other features that I can't think of right now. But for video, there is a definite stylistic aesthetic to it. It's got its own little signature that I'm sure can suit many projects out there. So there's that. I wouldn't quite put it in the same category as the Helios 44-2, but when you consider it's got such an apparent aesthetic to the footage that it can create, to the photos it can produce, and to the video that you can make with it, you could bucket it in the same, I don't know, overall buckets as the Helios 44-2, because they're both very distinct with the characteristics in the images that they can produce. Having said that, I would choose the Helios 44-2 over this one because I'm more comfortable with that one. It's a little bit more straightforward in its utilization, and I wouldn't recommend paying more than about maybe $10, £8 for this lens. Of course, if there's a situation where this lens could suit a project perfectly for you in terms of the aesthetic, then you can pay for it, or I'd recommend you pay for it whatever that project is worth for you, whatever your budget is. I wouldn't pay an absolute fortune for it, but then I wouldn't cap yourself off at, $10. Alright, so what else did I write? Spherical aberration, yes. Chromatic aberration, yes. Focus breathing, yes. Not sure there's much more to it than that. There obviously is a lot more to it than that. Whatever it is that you can do with it, you must do with it. But those are the 2 days that I've spent with this lens, just testing it out, going out, doing things, trying to figure it out. I am so very happy that I got around to using it and trying it out more, because for the past year that I've had it stored away, I have not enjoyed it. I've been pretty unhappy with the fact that I purchased it. It's probably the only thing that I've ever purchased in terms of my photography that I felt like maybe I do regret it, even though I only paid about like $5 or £5, very, very little for it. So I'm glad there's that. I don't think I'll use it much, but there is definitely a niche that it can fill in terms of creative projects. And as with a lot of the videos I've been making lately, I didn't really round it off or well round it properly before shooting. I just want to get the information out to you and then kind of like take it naturally from there. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here, folks. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed some of the photos and some of the video that I shared with you. If you've encountered this lens at a market or online at an attractive rate, or at a rate that works for you, and you find that it could work for one of your projects, now you have a bit more information about it. Did I thank you for being here? Yes. Don't forget to keep taking photos, keep making videos. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I'm seeing lights out the window.